I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr. Today, we talking about Elon Musk and Peter Navaro going, back and forth a bit. Navaro said something about Tesla, and Elon has been calling him a moron and making some disses at him. And so the tea is a little spicy today. Got a little spice in it. So we'll be talking about that as, I don't know. It seems like Trump is shifting into territory with the tariffs. Like, we want to cut a deal. We accept the deals. And it looks like kind of an off ramp, but at the same time, he's kind of like, I don't know. So there's still some things up in the air as far as that goes, but it's clear that there are different people around President Trump who have different visions, and we'll see in the end what Trump wants to do and what competing visions for the future in America end up coming out on top. Also, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this case with the two pool players who are men who are competing in the women's pool final, and that we mentioned it yesterday, and some people mentioned the comments, so I said we talk about it today. And it's just really nuts that the world continues to be the way it is, and woke isn't dead. And it is what it is. But one day, hopefully, we can just keep kind of pushing this back into obscurity. And they keep saying these sorts of things don't happen, and then, of course, they keep continuing to happen. And we'll touch on some other things as well. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com to get different content, the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run my side. I'll get so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it and appreciate you guys. Thank you to those of you who are watching live, to those of you who watch back later. And I see you in the chat on YouTube. I gotta where's my people on Facebook? I know you guys can't see each other, but if you comment and stuff, I can see your stuff. So thank you to those who are watching live, and again, who will watch back later. You guys can also check out different stuff on my website, and if you guys want to get anything off of there's also the store there. And if you guys are interested in any of my books, there's a link in the description. I'll take you to an Amazon page. I got some nonfiction books, like my book Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear. Also got different nonfiction books. I have 18 all together 18 all together. I have 2 nonfiction books, and the rest are fiction books. Like, this one's a little warped because I spilled some stuff on it or something, but this is The Dark Mermaid is one of my books, and Song on the Devil's Lips I got right here too. So that's a historical fiction fantasy series, or book, or whatever. That's the second one in the series. They're quite good, I must say. They are quite good. So go ahead and check that stuff out if you haven't. And I will be at Motor City Comic Con in May in Novi, Michigan. If you are attending or planning to attend, or maybe that persuaded you to go, I will be in I3, in Artist Alley. My sister will be in I4. I don't know if she's still streaming, but she streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She is, let me see if she is streaming. We can peek on her real quick and do like an Inception sort of like world, dream within a dream, stream within a stream. She was painting a little text portrait of William Dafoe and Spider-Man. And I'm like, she's been on a a kick of doing like actual people faces in her stream. Yeah, it looks like I don't think she's live anymore. She's not live anymore. But let me just yeah, she's no longer live. Um or maybe it was from a that's from some months ago. Let's see. Maybe she cuz I think she stops before I go live. And it's just if you haven't seen her work, it's really neat. She's the one who does the art for my book cover of course guys blatantly against abortion, and she's working on my children's book as well, which is like almost done, just a couple more things to make, but she's no longer live, so we're not a stream within a stream, but to show you like that's what she's like working on, this William Defoe. Isn't that nuts? Like, to put so much detail in a little teeny tiny painting like that. So, she usually does landscapes, but she's been on a kick for, the portraits. I'm sure they'll do really well at Comic-Con, though. So, that's obviously why she's doing so many of these, like, faces from, like, comic book movies and stuff because it's a Comic-Con. So, she usually does well. We both do well. She does better than I do because she has more inventory, and it's, very interesting what she does. So, if you haven't followed Tina, her page is Tina's Text Portraits. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she's on YouTube, and can you legally sell fan art at conventions? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah, as long as you do it. I don't know if there any uh there's even artists who are who've done work for different um companies, and they'll have people do commissions of different stuff on the spot. Um there's some people who uh last year I was next to, and we had met them before, but they were no, I don't think we were next to each other last time. The time before, I think last May, I was sitting next to someone who was like a licensed Disney artist. So those guys are really cool. Him and his friend Leon does, yeah, I think he's done some work for Marvel. But he does other stuff, and I think he has his own book that he like works on and stuff. But there's some really really cool people that you meet at Comic-Con. Um but yeah, people make all kinds of money at those shows. They make it hand over fist like in the artist alleys. If you're really good anyway. I mean, there's people, and you have to have kind of like your unique style that people kind of jive with. And because I mean, there are people who go there who don't do well. So I don't want to just like, if you are an artist and you just get a table, I don't want to put all your hopes up and you invest in it and everything kind of crashes and burns. But there's people who definitely go there and do well. There's one guy, his name is Terry. I met him years ago, Terry Huddleston. He has a pretty unique look. He used to just do kind of like headshots of people, and he had like a huge variety. And then he started changing it up and doing like bigger stuff. And then he like he focuses on doing kind of more unique things, and he'll have like huge pictures, and so people will pay like a lot of money for the unique thing that they don't usually find. But he still has a lot of like mainstream stuff. But he has like two tables, and he does well. I don't know if it's still like one of his favorite shows, but he says it's Motor City's like one of his best shows. So he like never misses it. So it's definitely easier to make money as a competent comic book artist than it is as a author. And those sorts of things. Because um people are just looking for something different. You will find readers who happen upon like those areas, and there's a couple of different authors will be there. We're kind of scattered in the author in the like artist alley section, and then people. The best case scenario is I have several books in my inventory, and I have some deals or whatever, and then people will buy like several books at a time or whatever, and because they're incentivized with the deals. So um but it's people usually come for pictures with words. you know so you gotta convince people to sometimes to be like, give it a try. There was one time, I'll just tell this story and I'll go on with the news. I'm sorry to those of you who are like, this isn't what I came for. But one time I had a family that came to the table, and I was pitching my books, Super Kid, my children's chapter book. So Super Kid, it has a few pictures in there, and I drew them myself. Um and they're not in color. Gosh, that would have been so expensive if I had that big book in color. But this is Super Kid too. And so I was explaining them the premise, and the mom and the dad seemed to be into it. And I think they were thinking about for the youngest son and maybe reading it to him or whatever. And then but there was an older son who probably could have picked it up and read it himself. And he just looked at it and he's like, these are all just words. And he like, I don't know, sucked the air out of the room, and the family were just kind of like, okay, never mind. I was like, oh. But yeah, sometimes you get that. Sometimes you get that. But Kit Kat says she went to a Star Trek convention in Vegas once. Ooh, I bet that one in Vegas was amazing. I always wanted to go to Vegas when they had the Borg the Borg experience, but they don't have that anymore. I've never been to a straight up Star Trek convention, but I have met people from Star Trek at Motor City Comic Con. There's all kinds of people who come to it. It's not just like Marvel, DC, and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you for entertaining me with my side hustle and and conversation about nerdy things. Let's go on to the news, the spice stuff I promised you guys. Spice today, okay? Not a lot, not like book talk spice, but some drama. So we've been talking about Trump and his tariffs, and Ted Cruz has been talking about there are angels and demons on Trump's shoulders. And there's the angels would be hey, we want free trade, as much free trade as possible. We want it to be fair across the board, and we'll get these tariffs down to like zero if we can, and we'll all work together in peace. And yay, America's great. Your country's doing good. We're all partnered together in the best interest of everyone's people, and we're all making money hand over fist. Wow, good stuff. I think that's somewhere where the angels are. In what I'm assuming in the Ted Cruz mind. The demons are probably like, nah, tariffs are amazing. We're going to get all this revenue. I don't care what you do. We just want them in place. America's going to make so much money. We're going to do all this stuff with the tariffs, and it doesn't matter what you do. Oh, you got it down to zero. Too bad. We're still doing tariffs. We just like it. We just gobble tariffs. I think those are the demons. Okay. And I think the angel in this scenario right now are people like Elon, and the demon, at least, is Peter Navaro. And Besant, who's the Treasury Secretary, appears to be more toward the angel territory and is looking for an off-ramp and wants to make deals and seems to be pushing toward deals with different countries. They keep saying that the countries are calling and they want to make deals, and that is what Trump is pushing for. Interestingly enough, Trump is like open to deals, but he's also like, meh, because Vietnam was like, okay, we can get it to zero. I think it was Peter Navaro who was like, man, that's still not enough. They've been unfair to us. and they've got different barriers and whatnot. So they're willing to go to zero, but it sounds like we still don't care. And Bibi Netanyahu was in a meeting with Trump about the tariffs, and apparently, and Israel was willing to go to zero, and they still hit him with the tariffs on the Liberation Day. And then they're like, okay, well, we're willing to be at zero. And not only were they willing to be at zero, Netanyahu's talking about getting rid of the deficit. Now, I don't know how they do that, because the trade deficit is just, we're not equal in how much we import and export to each other. Like the big example I gave before, and I'll give again or whatever most people are using, is you have a trade deficit with like Walmart or whatever. You go and you buy things, but they don't buy things from you. It's not a bad thing and a moral thing or whatever. You're getting your value from what you get at the store. Maybe you take those things and you turn into something profitable. Maybe it's just the value of you, I don't know, eating your vegetables, but you get a service and value from what you get from them, even though they're not buying things from you. So in the case of Israel, when you just think of that little country, that little strip of land that's caused so much drama throughout the ages, versus the huge land mass of the United States and all of our people. And I'm like, how are they going to get rid of the deficit? how are they going to do that? And I'm like baffled. I'm baffled. I don't know how. I'm like, are they just gonna be like, send us more bombs? More bombs. We must get rid of the deficit. Send us just more weapons. We'll get there. Just keep at it. We've got wars to fight. We're trying to fix it. Like what else? What are they gonna get? Do they that it's equal or whatever? Do we just not? I mean, I don't know off the top of my head how much we export to their country, but it seems like a lot for any country to really ask of a lot of countries, unless we just don't do a lot of business with them, period. So anyway, he said, well, we're going to work on trying to get rid of the deficit. And so Trump was asked by the press, like, oh, well, are you going to get rid of the tariffs then? He's like, no. I don't know about that. We send them a lot of money in aid and stuff, so and he also told like Bibi, like, congratulations about that too, like like you guys get a good deal out of it and stuff. So I don't know, that this is the issue with a lot of people. They don't know like what exactly they're asking for or they're wanting in the end, because we don't know if it's a zero tariff rate. We don't know if it's just no deficit. We don't know. So that's an issue. But we'll see who wins in the Devils and Angels game. But we know where Elon stands, and we know where Peter Navaro stands. So Peter went on Fox. I think it was Fox. I'm not sure if this is Fox. And he was talking about Tesla and Elon Musk and why he wants the tariffs and stuff removed. It was CNBC. He went on CNBC. So let me share my screen so you guys can see this video, and then we will get to the tea, because Elon absolutely reacted to this.
When it comes to tariffs and trade, we all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. The tires come. What we want, and the difference is, and our thinking and Elon's on this, is that we want the tires made in Akron. We want the transmissions made in Indianapolis. We want the engines made in Flint and Saginaw, and we want the cars manufactured here. It's like this business model where BMW and Mercedes come in to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and have us assemble German engines and Austrian transmissions. That doesn't work for America. It's bad for our economics. It's bad for our national security. We want them to come here. And with Elon, it's fine. He's a car man. He's a car person. That's what he does. And he wants the cheap foreign parts, and we understand that. But we want him home. We want him home
Peter, you
for our
expect
national security and economic security, and everything's good with Elon.
Oh, everything's good with him, but okay, so issue here. There's an issue here where they're trying to assume that he has ulterior motives for it because he is not a car manufacturer. He just assembles them like they're Legos that arrive, and then he builds a car with the Lego pieces or something. And that is not how Tesla works. There is even a little community note. Isn't it so nifty that Elon owns Twitter or X rather? According to cars.com's ranking, the most American made car is a Tesla Model Y. So there's that. So Elon, he said Navaro is truly a moron. What he says is demonstrably false. And that's not the only thing Elon had to say about Mr. Navaro. He went on to post this link that says Tesla has the most American-made cars. Navaro is dumber than a sack of bricks. By any definition whatsoever, Tesla is the most vertically integrated auto manufacturer in America with the highest percentage of U.S. content. Navaro should ask the fake expert he invented, Ron Vera. And if you're like, what fake expert? Well, apparently he had invented an expert that he would quote sometimes, like in his book. I think he quoted a few times for the expert advice to affirm his ideas. But that expert that he was talking about to affirmed his ideas was not a real person. So that was getting around yesterday, but Elon certainly decided to throw it out there. Yeah. He also had a little nickname to him. I don't know, maybe there was more. But he called him Peter Retardo as well. So yeah, Elon is going in on him for his opinions and talking out of turn. So who's gonna win here? I'm not sure. Because at the end of the day, it depends what Trump wants to do. I think it also depends. I don't know, headlines, stock futures. I don't know. It went up, it went down. Well, it was going down, it went up. There was a rumor that Trump was pausing, and then it went up, and then it went down after that. That was false misinformation. So it ended higher yesterday. So I don't know. Once people, if they stay in place, because Trump is kind of signaling that they're going to stay a minute, and people start feeling the rising prices, that obviously won't be good. And I don't know if there'll be time to fix that prior to the midterms. Now, Trump is lame duck, so he doesn't have anything to worry about as far as like him being reelected or whatever. So maybe he feels more freedom to do what he wants to do. He's been talking for years. I talked about the Oprah interview that he had talking about the tariffs, but there's more. He's had these feelings and these motions about America getting ripped off, and I've heard them before, and you guys have probably heard them before. I just never thought about him talking about America getting ripped off, and he's like immediately assuming like deficits to be that kind of way. Now, it's not just deficits. They say things like intellectual property theft and other sorts of protections that people have that, make it harder for American markets to get into other countries. Now, I don't know how much of those things are feasible. Like if, for example, if we sell food or something, or we're trying to sell food to another country, there might be restrictions on their products that we don't have on our products. So why would they want our products that we don't meet their certain dietary restrictions and other things like that? So there was I think a congressman the other day who Daily Wire was reporting that he was talking about how different farmers or ranchers were glad about the tariffs because Australia won't take their meat and other stuff like that. And he didn't say it was specifically because of tariffs that they don't take the meat. But then people in the comments were like, the meat standards are different. So that there's different reasons to why that might be. So I don't know how much he's going to demand out of everybody. And I guess the only thing we can really keep saying is wait and see on it. I still am of the opinion that all this back and forth and speculation and heart palpitations and power really shouldn't be in the hands of one person. And I can understand and respect that so many people respect and trust Trump. But I just know that if Kamala Harris was in office and she was, talking about doing all this stuff and we were waiting for deals and she was very unclear with what she wanted to do, and it just kind of caused all this, speculation or worry with different businesses and industries and things like that, the right would be flipping out. They'd be flipping out about all this stuff. So I just think it's better that the executive branch has less power, especially in ways that they're not supposed to have. So I don't know. RC thinks that he's going to go with Besant. We shall see. I would assume that Trump knows that Besant seems to be more competent and that he's calming the markets down. He's calming people down. He's calming the countries down. He's, getting good negotiations out of folks, so I would like to hope that Trump is leaning toward that way, and Besant is kind of presenting like, here's some off ramps for us to not have to do all this stuff, and we can still get positive headlines, and we can get some wins, that would be great. But at the same time, it does seem to me that Navaro speaks to some inclinations that Trump just naturally has, and if that is what Trump really just wants to go with, unless he has enough reason to kind of, I don't know, hamper that down, he's gonna go with who's gonna affirm him. He needs enough contrary voices. By the way, he did say that he would veto any, if there was a bill to restrict him on this, he would veto. Well, I'm not surprised, but they would just need veto proof numbers to do that. And I don't think Trump would want to be in a position where there'd be so many GOP people ready to strike him down like that. So I think I don't think it will come to that. I hope it doesn't come to that. So In line with our topic yesterday about some of the right-wing influencers and their reactions to some of this stuff. I saw this tweet earlier today where someone said, just talk to a small business friend in the US, Trump voter. Today she's cursing the administration. Wholesale prices for the products she sells are up 50% with no end in sight. She sells products that people can do without. She's looking at her entire business going belly up soon. And so there's been some not compassionate replies, like, your friend is reselling foreign manufactured goods, poor thing. And that's what many people do. So I don't understand, like, being like, oh, haha, you're going out of business for all this stuff. Like, I was thinking about, like, TikTok Shop. So many people will sell stuff off TikTok Shop. A lot of people sell stuff they make. Like, if you have there's different shops who will sell fidget stuff, fidget toys, fidget spinners, things like that, and sell them on the TikTok Shop. They obviously make that stuff in the US. I don't know who all builds the machines to make all the stuff, or the things that they use to print on the 3D I don't know where they get all the materials from, but they're making this stuff themselves and shipping it out. So there's people on there who are like US folks making stuff, building stuff, or whatever. If I do have some books on there, I'd be, shipping them and stuff. I'd be doing that myself or whatever. But there's a lot of products that come from overseas that people sell. I mean, people will buy. And then TikTok also has a program where you can buy stuff from TikTok Shop, say, hey, I got this, and you can get commission from selling it. So there's a lot of people who have, like, their livelihoods now tied up and just selling things on TikTok Shop and convincing other people to buy things that they bought on TikTok Shop. That's one of the many reasons why people were pulling their hair out, screaming fire, 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 if they got rid of TikTok, because it's a lot of people's livelihoods that would just be up in smoke. Not just content creators who get money from viral videos, but like their whole selling process is enormous now. So there are people who are getting stuff from overseas and selling it and other things like that too. So we do have a very global economy, and people just having the attitude of, oh, sucks for you. It just will not go well in a midterm. It will not go well in a midterm. And I don't know what is the mindset and the end game of all these people online who say all these kinds of crazy things. And I just hope people have some more sense. By the way, I played a video yesterday from Benny Johnson. That's how I start off my show. And about Benny saying, oh, it's money, who cares? Like, big deal, whatever. Oh, money, it builds your character when you lose money. There was a video that someone put together, and I don't know if I saved it. I think I know I copied it, but the link, but I think I did on my phone. And so they showed what he said the other day, and then they showed like 2024 talking about like when there was a dive in the stock market, and like, oh, Kamala Harris, you better get in front of the cameras and have a press conference because the stock market's bad and you look terrible, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So market's bad under Democrat, like, oh, they're not saying money is not a big deal, whatever. So it's just how their narrative shifts depending on when it's politically convenient to say X, Y, and Z. And then he shared a video of someone. He's like, oh, let me see if I can find it. he's like, oh, he just summed up the tariff so great. And so I watched the video to see what he was going to say that was going to be so great. And it, spoiler alert, it wasn't. It wasn't. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I can explain it easily enough, but I was so annoyed because we just have so much of the wrong messaging. You know, we need to be an administration, not an administration where it's just clicks and views and vibes. Like, there has to be good policy that's going to lead the country into a positive direction. You always have the Democrats who cry over the dumbest things, who make up stories that are so absurd. In the Trump administration, you know, and like they had the dumbest things that came after Trump about in his first term. Like I had some ice cream the other day, and so I shot a video of myself just eating the ice cream, and I captioned it like, I'm just thinking about the time that the media ran a story about how Donald Trump got 2 scoops of ice creams and everyone else got 1. And I'm not joking. And then I showed the headline of the media writing a story about how Donald Trump got 2 scoops of ice cream and gave everybody else 1 scoop of ice cream. If I'm the president of the United States, I'm at least getting my 2 scoops of ice cream. And in my video, I had 3. So the things that they write about. I remember when they were so mad after he became president. He won. He hadn't gotten sworn in yet. So he like dodged the press and went to like a steakhouse. The media was so mad, like, we have to be there. If something happens, we have to report it. And like they had like some good points about being there to report it, but it was I don't know, like World War III had broke out. They were so mad about it. Or when Trump fed the koi fish, and just crazy stories, and things that they blow up that weren't scandals, and hoaxes that did enormous damage. I have a video about the top 10 Trump hoaxes on my YouTube channel. So they always have these crazy things, and sometimes they're grasping at straws. I don't want to give them a freaking whale to use against him and just blow us out in the midterms. I don't want that to happen. But yeah, this is a video that Benny Johnson was supporting. A reporter asked a bystander what he thinks about President Trump's tariffs. His answer is an absolute mic drop moment. Just watch. Okay, so be prepared for the mic drop moment.
They go into effect today. What do you think about the Trump tariffs?
Doesn't affect me.
Why not?
I'm pro-Trump, but don't affect me.
Well, what do you think about it? Tell me your opinion on how he's going about it. What do you think?
Dominance, baby. Greatest country in the world.
They go.
That's it. Dominance, baby. Greatest country in the world. Doesn't affect me. What do you mean? Is that gonna? He just looks ignorant, and it's like dominance, baby. Like, America has positions of strength for sure. I mean, you can stand and be like the bully of the world and force people to come into the table and make all kinds of deals and stuff, but it's okay to say no comment. But Benny promoting that as if, oh, it's a mic drop moment. Was that really a mic drop moment? Dominance, baby, doesn't affect me. I'm a Trump voter, so it doesn't affect me. In his Trump first administration, the farmers found out that the tariffs affected them, and we had to give like $28 billion in subsidies. So don't be so sure. Don't be so sure. Bailey says she remembers the koi fish thing. He did what the president of the country did, and they made it a negative story about Trump. Yeah, it was crazy. I think one time he also walked in front of like Queen Elizabeth, and they just blew a gasket or something. And I don't think he maybe did. I think it was just from the angle or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy stories that came out about Trump during his administration. And it taught me to not flip out. Like if I saw a story of them reporting on something about Trump, my first instinct would not be to be like, oh my gosh. It would be like let me look into this, because I know they lie about so much. So I guess there's a positive in there for me about their dumb stories, because it did teach me to just not react. And I do try to apply that to both sides. Like sometimes people message me like, did AOC really say this thing? Like this is going around that she's saying this thing. I'm like, okay, that sounds dumb and it's very doable for maybe what she said, but let me look into this and be like, okay, that did not happen. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I try to verify some stuff. Did not like the idea about tariffs at all. However, the other side was offering price controls. So, yeah, some people, when the market started to dive, I think on Friday, I saw a lot of people post things from the left that said things like, oh, well, if only we had supported the woman who, got a degree or studied economics or something. And I don't, I'm like, Kamala had the dumbest policies that she was pushing, and Democrats have to own that. Democrats have to own that. They had a bad candidate. Like, get over it. I think I'll always be in danger of people showing, like, pointing to the election night video when I'm like, he won, she lost, and people like, aha, you're criticizing Trump. It must be regret. Do you regret voting for him now? No, I don't. I made a decision based off of the evidence, and came to the best conclusion with my options that I had, and your option was trash. Your option was trash. I didn't like her. I didn't like her policies. And one of the first things she pitched right out the gate was price controls. And that was crazy. And another thing that she pitched right off, was some of her housing things didn't make any sense. And the taxing the unrealized gains, that was like catastrophically stupid. And the best they had on the left to say was, well, it's only if you make a certain amount of money, and you guys are poor, so it's not going to affect you. Like, it'll affect everything, because it'll affect businesses and stock market and cause a crash and all that stuff. Like, you can't say it's not going to affect me. Like, it'll affect everyone eventually, and it's still immoral. So there's issues there. So it's not like they presented like some kind of alternative that was a more responsible fiscal figure than, like, I don't like this stuff going on now with Trump. It's not like, oh gosh, I wish I had Kamala Harris and price controls right now. No. And the tariff thing, she did criticize Trump in his use of tariffs, but Trump easily could just say, hey, if the tariffs are so bad, why did you guys keep my tariffs in place? Or why did you guys impose more tariffs if they're so bad? That's a good question. So it was a good rebuttal. It was one of the only good rebuttals he had, like, during that debate, because I still think he didn't do too hot, but he at least had a good point with that. How are you going to bring that up when you guys still did tariffs? So, and it increased some of the tariffs that Trump had. So they didn't have a good economic, like, other. It'd be different if, like, you had a viable third party, person, but you didn't. It was there were other third party options, and people can vote however they feel is best or whatever. But either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump was going to be the president of the United States, and I'm don't get me wrong, like, I can criticize him all day long. I'm still happy it was him over her. And even him pitching things that I didn't like, because I can list things that he was pitching that I didn't like while he was running. Again, you still only have two options. I'm still hoping that he assembles a team, that there's going to be some people like apparently Besant here who's trying to convince him to do the right thing, or Elon Musk here who's trying to convince him to do the right thing. You know? Or there's other people who can come in and try to convince him. He's not like a totally unreasonable man. Like in the past, in his former administration, he might say something like, he said some crazy things about guns. He's like, due process later. I like taking the guns and due process later. And that was like right after a mass shooting casualty tragedy that happened in the US. So like there's a lot of conversations and stuff about it. And I remember Pam Bondi being in the office and, you know, when they were talking about all that stuff. And Mike Pence was like, no, we need due process. Like, I like taking the guns first. That was wild that he said that. But sometimes when he would tweet wild things about guns or whatever, I'm just like, okay, someone from the NRA is probably going to have a phone call with him and be like, bruh, you need to dial that back. And he usually did. Or at a time when he didn't, he did the bump stock ban. And guess what? The Supreme Court overturned that. If you get crazy justices, if a crazy person like Kamala Harris put in some justices that are totally left wing, they're going to try to remake the country, not uphold the Constitution. So there's just better barriers in place to check him than there would have been if Democrats just had total control. If they can replace like the conservative justices, and then they have, it's bad enough when they're shopping stuff to liberal judges to shut down stuff that Trump is doing, you know, but they would have, it would be bad enough if they had the courts, and they already have the media on their side, and a lot of our education system. So much is already just left-wing dominated, and they needed some kind of check. I want them to be better. I want them to take a hard look in the mirror and just be normal, and just like have some minor differences with like taxes and things like that. But that's just is not where we are as a country. Unfortunately, you know, were there other Republicans in the primary who I would have entertained? Yes. By the time I got to my state, there was no one else to entertain. There was basically no one to entertain after Iowa. But you know, he just blew that out. And then DeSantis had put so much into Iowa, so once Trump won that, it was over. Like, he stayed in a couple weeks and dipped out, and then Nikki Haley just, you know, never had a shot. And I wasn't too fond of Haley. I don't think she'd be doing all this, maybe the tariff stuff, but I don't know what she'd be doing. Besides signing some checks to, you know, for weapons or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what she'd be doing. Anyway. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about this because I mentioned it yesterday. So there are two men competing in a pool tournament, but the kicker is that it's a women's tournament. And the people on the left are like, what's the big deal? There's still two women. Like, no. A woman is a biological female, and these two are dudes. So that's them. Those are the sirs. A professional women's pool tournament has been hit by protests after the final was contested by two transgender players. Harriet Haynes and Lucy Smith faced off in the Ultimate Pool Women's Pro Series Event 2 at Robin Park Leisure Central in Wigan on Sunday, having each beaten 4 female-born opponents. Broadcaster Piers Morgan labeled the event preposterous because before accusing the sport of cheating bull bleep on social media, former Olympic swimmer Sharon Davies called it bleeping ridiculous and grossly wrong in every way. Protesters inside the venue shouted, "He's a man," and "We stand with Lynn Pinches," and held up banners saying "Save women's sports" and "He's a man," and Hayes walked past. Pinches is a player who forfeited a 2023 final in protest at the participation of Haynes, and claimed on Monday she was told to leave Sunday's event by ultimate pull. Well, Gene Hatchett, one of the protesters, wrote on social media, "A man besides us today watching the pool when we stood up to support." Lynn Pinches shouted, "Can't someone throw them out?" as though we were misguided something. I'm not sure what that's bleeped out. I challenged him and said, "Why are you okay with a man playing in a woman's comp?" He said, "Well, she's earned it. No one's bothered. They've accepted it." I said, "Women haven't bleeping accepted it. Bleeping men, this is wrong. Any decent man would have a word with this lying bleep and tell him to do one." Meanwhile, women had to console Lynn for being thrown out of watching the sport she loves. If this pic doesn't break your heart, Pinches claimed on social media after a complaint by Harriet Haynes' partner, "I was told to leave the Ultimate Pool event yesterday. I was wearing my body cam for my own protection. I removed it upon request after being told no filming in the rooms. To then be told by UP I wasn't allowed in with or without it." Replying to a post by Redux magazine on X, which claimed two men were facing each other for the championship title, Morgan wrote, "Why anyone supports this cheating bull bleep is utterly beyond me. Haynes won the competition. His path to the title, including victories over Megan Proctor and Mary Talbot, while Smith reached the final by knocking out Christy Lee Davies and Danielle Randall along the way. The latest controversy comes along almost a year and a half after Pinches pulled out of the Women's Champions final against Haynes, who was awarded the title. Pinches later told Talk TV, "Whenever you play a transgender player, even if you win, it doesn't make any difference because in your heart, you know it's unfair. This is a category advantage. Being biologically male and playing against female gives you a clear category advantage. Every time I play a transgender player, I think about it before, during, and after the match, about how unfair it is and how this is a level I can't reach. I watch some of the shots they play, and I think females don't play these shots down to the rails like this, and they don't clear up like this. Trans women, have longer reach, and a lot of them are taller than us. Women have been silenced because of fear of being transphobic. That is why people don't speak about this subject. It's not a gender issue. This is a fairness issue." In December 2023, Telegraph Sport revealed that Pinches was among a number of women pool players who had taken the first step towards launching a landmark lawsuit over the rules forcing them to play against trans opponents. Lawyers acting for 4 complaints submitted a letter before the claim to the World 8-Ball Pool Federation, the Ultimate Pool Group, accusing the governing bodies of subjecting those born female to direct sex discrimination and harassment on the grounds of sex. Haynes has previously defended his right to compete in the female category, telling BBC, "Trans women are not a threat to pool. We're not coming over in droves. There's nothing to fear." But this is what's great. Well, it's not happening a lot. It's happening enough, and you're the one who's doing it. Like, it's not happening in but it's you. You're the lone conqueror here. You and another dude. So it's enough that there's 2 dudes in the final. With the low percentage there is of trans people, it still happened that the final ended with 2 dudes. It's enough of a problem. It shouldn't happen. One time is too many. One time is too many. Like, the audacity to say this. Like, we're no threat. You're a threat to every woman who you've beaten. The English Pool Association and WEPF currently permit transgender athletes to compete without restriction, as stated on the EPA website. However, EPA's bylaws regarding transgender athletes have been under review since December 2023. An Ultimate Pool statement read, due to ongoing legal proceedings, Ultimate Pool is currently unable to comment on the specific matter. We hope that we are soon able to clarify our position publicly. In short, we love women's pool. Therefore, we determined to continue to try our best in the future of the game. We understand the need for reasons, sensible debate around this issue, but we also stress the Ultimate Pool will not tolerate abuse of any of its hundreds of players on social platforms. Separately, in the United States last weekend, a women's disc golfer refused to play against a transgender opponent, instead walking off the course and telling spectators, females must be protected in our division. This is unfair. I refuse to play. Why do men have a sorry, don't know why it's tripping. Men are believed to have an advantage because of fact. I don't know. Yeah, it's jumping. Don't know why it's. Stop it. Let me try to refresh it. Maybe refreshing it will work. Oh, I gotta go back. This is how white men get to be marginalized. Yep. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. We're just white people in general. Because well, let me table that thought. Men are believed to have an advantage because factors like body strength and reach will help in creating more powerful break. Their larger frame also allows for them to hit more difficult shots across the table, while having a bigger bridge hand also allows for more room to produce different types of shots. So yeah, that makes sense, because some people are asking like, why is pool even? Is there even a gender difference there? But yeah, men are taller. They usually their wingspan, their reach and stuff. Yeah, that hands and all that stuff, and strength, obviously. So yeah, obviously an advantage there. Also, you want women's categories sometimes to just, because people ask about like, what about chess and stuff like that. Sometimes you want women's categories to encourage more female participation. Like for example, when I love American Ninja Warrior. I'm not as like hardcore as I used to be, like when it first came on, but I love American Ninja Warrior. When they're rocking, I'm rocking, and was really really into it. Some of my mom really liked too, but and there's obviously a difference between the men and the women. It's like she would watch the women, like when you have to do the floating steps, like guys would just be like, one step here, one step here, one step there. And the women would do the two shuffle on each thing. And if there was a guy who had to do like the two shuffle on each step, she'd be like, they doing it like the women. To like kind of be like, they're obviously not as good because they got to do it like the women. But at first, it was just kind of dominated by men, and you'd have women in the sport. And they really celebrate when women would reach different milestones. And American Ninja Warrior is great. Now they have like a bunch of competitive stuff now, but before it was just you against the course, So if you can make it across the course, that's good on you. And they didn't adjust anything for like men or women. Is you either succeeded or you failed. Oh, you're too short to make it across the like jumping spider. You got to figure out. Other people might have different advantages because they're taller, the wingspan and things like that. And if you're taller with the jumping spider, you're more likely to reach it and be successful than someone who's 5 foot or 5'2". But you have to figure out a way around that. And so it's just a really interesting sport. Like no excuses. You win or you fail. And they started adding spots for women. And I didn't know how I felt about well, actually, at first I'm like, I don't like that, because they'd have like they'd carve out a couple spots for the best females. I'm like, no, they should just do it all the way. Like the best of the best, like top 30. If you didn't make it, if there's no women, that's whatever. I don't care. But they did that because they wanted more women to be able to succeed and be part of their franchise and encourage more female participation, which it did do that. And there were different women like Casey something was the first woman to, she was really short too, to get up the warp wall. And so I don't think she ever made it past the jumping spider in Vegas. And she had like good technique or whatever. She was just, it's just hard when you're that short. But she beat the second. Yes, I think she got a buzzer on the final too. And she made it to Vegas and stuff. So her success inspired more women to go ahead and hit the buzzer. And then there are women who train longer and were a little taller. And so there have been a lot of women who had more success than Casey. No female winners yet, but there's barely any winners with American Ninja Warrior. But they still compete all the same courses, but they just had the different things for the top female finishers or whatever. I don't know if they still do that, but they had the difference in category because they were trying to encourage more women. So even if there wasn't a tactical advantage from like a physicality standpoint, you're still coming into into the female category, and there's a smaller pool of people normally than you might have to compete against, because there's going to be more interest in, like, I don't know, pool and chess than there are for like females for whatever reason. So it's still not fair. If it doesn't matter that there are categories by sex, then get rid of the categories and just have pool championships, pool tournaments with men and women. And I'm sure there obviously are, or whatever. But if there's going to be a male category and a female category, then it has to be male and female. And if it doesn't make a difference, then the two blokes who are in the women's category right now, it shouldn't be a big deal that they go play against the men. It shouldn't be a big deal. So go and do it. Like, they're playing games with us, guys. They know. They know. They absolutely know that there's a difference and there's an advantage. And we should not be made to explain ourselves. No means no, bro. We shouldn't be made to explain ourselves. But back to the point about folks who this is a way for men to be part of the marginalized community by saying that they're trans. People could do that all the time with just like being queer anyway. Like, maybe you're just a white person and you're like, oh gosh, I want me some of this victim action. And then you get, or I want to be part of this DEI. I want to get a DEI job. And you get to say, I'm two-spirit or something, like I'm a Zer and I'm asexual. Or what's the one when it's like demisexual? I think when you don't have when you don't have an attraction unless you make a deep connection with someone. And it's like, why is that like orientation or identification? Like, y'all are so thirsty. So thirsty. So that is a way for people to get on the hierarchy Olympics or whatever. And then it's a good way to jump ahead of like Black people. Oh my gosh. If you're a trans man, a white trans dude, you got more stock in society than I think a Black man who's straight. It's certainly a Black woman. The left is gonna take the side of the dude who wants to come in my bathroom, and then they're gonna lecture me about being a minority, a black woman, like, well, you've been through so much, your people. How dare you? How dare you speak up and voice your concerns about this? You know what it's like to be marginalized. Why not just support them? And then I have to explain to people how being black isn't the same as being mentally ill. Like they're not in the same league, the same dimension. And then they wonder why I'm offended. Like, so yeah, it is a way for these people to get the victim card status for sure. For sure. No, pansexual is when you are willing, I think, to basically do anything. When you're down for like any gender, any sexual orientation, all the stuff. And asexual is you don't have that sexual desire or whatever. But I think demisexual is when I think because demi wasn't, let me see, demisexual. Demisexual is a sexual orientation where people only feel sexual attraction to someone after forming an emotional bond with them. And it's part of the asexual spectrum. Now, to me, this is so stupid. And it's like, isn't it just kind of healthy? I'm not saying you're not healthy if you don't have like immediate sexual attraction to like a stranger or something or whatever. But if you're just like, oh, they're really nice. Like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to really kind of like them. That's not a reason to go and make a flag and be like, I'm part of the community now. It just seems so gosh, like folks are reaching. Anyway. Last thing I wanted to talk about before I let you guys go, was this story about, let me see. Oh gosh, I don't have enough battery time. Um, was about Vivek Ramaswamy, and he's running for governor of Ohio. And there's a lot of chatter about a picture that he posted of a bunch of evangelicals praying for him. And people have a lot of interesting reactions and lots of thoughts about it. And I have a lot of thoughts about it, but unfortunately, I do have to go. So, so I'm gonna have to actually table it for tomorrow, and we will have an interesting conversation there. Someone said Vivek really irritates you, and it's so insincere. I think there you obviously need the evangelical approval when you're running as a Republican. But I recall when he was making fun of Nikki Haley for going by Nikki Haley, which Nikki is her middle name, and Haley is the name of her husband who she married. But he made fun of her for, because he said something like, I could always change my name and become a Christian like some people have done, and he was talking about her. Okay. I told you guys my I didn't have enough battery life, and that was legit. So I had to switch to my phone really quick. I'm so sorry about that sudden interruption. But I will go ahead and close it out. I'm gonna have to again table that conversation with Vivek until tomorrow. But I've criticized him before. He obviously ran for president. He's running to be governor of California. And I don't know how that's gonna turn out for him. I mean, but as far as like him trying to get that Christian vote, which you do need, and he did appeal to a lot of folks when he ran for president. And there were people who did not even know that he wasn't a Christian. But I didn't forget about the things that he said about Nikki Haley. What's his motivation? What exactly for what? For appealing to the evangelicals or running for governor? I'm just still concerned about some things that he did in his business practices that I thought were going to be bad for him in a general election, and how they might impede him in a general election in Ohio. I think it's going to be kind of hard to lose Ohio, but I don't know. His motivation for running for governor, oh, well, I think he wanted some attention, and that's why he ran for president. And that's why a lot of people who can't win, who run for president, run for president. And it could have been to also gear up for like a Senate run, or in this case, he's running for governor. And I guess he assumes he's going to do a good job. Like, I don't know why else he would, good job, ego, whatever. But I assume he's doing it because he thinks he's going to win. And I don't know. I have to look into a little more in the race, but the conversations that people were talking about in regard to like the photo that he posted, it wasn't just going around the internet. Vivek himself posted the photo of all these evangelicals praying for him, and he just captioned it grateful. So there's a lot of reactions to it because he himself isn't a Christian. And I think Christians should pray for everyone, obviously. People, especially people who aren't Christian. But I've got some interesting thoughts about it, and I'll have to keep you in suspense a little bit, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm so sorry that I let the battery die. You guys were gone for a little bit, but you guys stayed on till I got back. So thank you guys. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website. It does cost a stream, run the site, all the good stuff you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can check out different merch on the site. You guys can also check up my different books. I saw that, was it Bailey in the comments who said that she was reading The Dark Mermaid and was enjoying it so far. I really appreciate that. Abel's in the comments. Abel's family, usually his wife would come and buy different books for me. And so I don't think Abel's ever read them, but I don't know. But their family has also been very supportive of my stuff, and they really liked them. So I appreciate that as well. So if you guys want to learn more about my books, you guys can go to ninjadustpublishing.com. There's a link on the merchandise page, but there's a link in the description as well that'll take you to an Amazon page with my books and stuff on it. So I'm trying to find Bailey's comment. I think it was Bailey. Man, you guys, I didn't realize how much you guys were talking. I'm still scrolling through your comments on YouTube. On YouTube, anyway. You guys were chit chatting on YouTube. I must have missed it. Anyway, thank you guys. God bless you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.